Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Strike Zone with St. Paul Saints Manager George Tsamis. Strike Zone is a weekly program that gives you, the fans, the opportunity to ask the St. Paul manager questions about the Saints, baseball or sports in general, or just seek George's wisdom about life events that may be going on. In this week's episode, we have an exciting program for you as George talks with us about his Super Bowl prediction. He shares with us a little bit of his insights about the recent hiring of Bobby Brown by the Lincoln Salt Dogs. He talks about his enthusiasm as baseball is about to get underway. And George shares with us his favorite Super Bowl commercial of all time. So let's get right to Strike Zone. So let us welcome back Manager George Tsamis. George, let's first of all begin with team updates you have.
Okay, yeah, this week we really don't have anything. We haven't signed any players this past week, and none of our other players have got signed with Major League clubs this week. So it's a slow week. Trying to pick up a little bit and talking to players and free agents, but we don't have anything to announce this week.
One thing I wanted to talk with you about briefly was the hiring of Bobby Brown in Lincoln. Ken Oberkfeld stepping down, Bobby Brown coming into the team. Can you give us your insights on how that, do you think, will affect Lincoln itself?
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened with Oberkfeld. I don't know. I guess it was a family reason. I'm not sure. I really like Ken Oberkfeld too. I think he's a good guy and did a good job. And but again, I'm not really sure the situation why he left the team. Bobby Brown, he's been around for a while, and he's going into a beautiful stadium. He's got a good gig over there in Lincoln, and I think he'll do a real good job. He's been doing this for a while. He knows how to get the players. He's a good guy, so but he's going into a nice setup there in Lincoln, and I'm pretty sure he'll put together a good team, and that division's going to be tough too. Last year it was Sioux City's division. The year before it was Lincoln's, but Kansas City has a solid team too, and Gary, they're always in it and tough to beat. So it is. It's going to be a tough division.
It's interesting that Bobby Brown leaves Amarillo, which everybody kind of considers to be one of the worst parks for Lincoln, which is considered one of the best. So kind of night and day for him.
Yeah, it's a beautiful. Well, people can say that about our old situation too. Midway, a lot of people didn't really care for Midway, and then we're in the new place. So Bobby Brown, like I said, he's going from from the low spot to one of the best spots.
That is excellent. Before we head into fan questions this week, is there any update you want to give us on your Super Bowl prediction from last week?
Yeah. Yep. No, I don't really care who wins the game, but I think Carolina's going to, and they've been the best team all year, and so I think Carolina's going to be your Super Bowl champions.
Well,
but it doesn't matter what I think, though. I'm wrong many times this year on the picks.
They sure look good, though. That's for sure.
Yeah, they do. They do look good.
Heading into our fan questions, we'll first of all start with Hank from Eden Prairie, who asked, now that February is upon us, are you a little bit more excited about baseball since spring training is just around the corner?
Absolutely. I've been excited since October, though. I always joke that the off season's too long and wish we'd get started, earlier. But especially now that football's over, this has been the first week without football, and it's tough on the Sundays because I'm really not into the basketball and just miss the football. So I wish it would move a little quicker, and looking forward to spring training getting started, and the weather will get better and see some baseball.
Maybe somebody will turn you into an MMA fan. Be out there watching mixed martial arts or something.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen either. I'll watch the football and I'll watch the baseball, and at times I'll watch hockey. I watch the Wild sometimes, but it's just more of I sit there. The show on TV I watch now. I don't know if I know we're getting off topic on this, but I don't know if people watch The Blacklist, but that's the show to watch. And so everybody out there listening, if you haven't seen The Blacklist, you need to go to your Netflix, start season 1, and you won't be able to stop watching.
That's great. George with a plug for today. Dan from Arden Hills.
I'm just telling you.
That sounds good. I might have to watch it myself.
A minute into the show, you won't be able to stop. So, Blacklist, if you're bored out there, just give it a shot, and you won't be able to stop. You won't stop watching.
That's your replacement for Monday Night Football, I take it then?
Well, all these years, 24 was always my favorite show, and that was the one I always talked out. But now that it's over, I gave The Blacklist a shot one day on Netflix and couldn't stop watching it. So that's my advice.
That is great. Dan from Arden Hills would like to know from you, do you go to visit any of your players in spring training to see how they are doing, or do they call to talk to you at any time?
Yeah, at times I have. I mean, not in the last couple of years, but at times I have, and we do stay in touch with the players we've had before, and there's times that, you know, maybe when during spring training or during the season, if a guy gets released and you see that some of your ex-players played with this guy, you do reach out to them and ask their opinions on them and ask if they're good guys, and we try to stay in touch with as many guys as we can. That is great. Manny from St. Paul would like to know from you, do you follow what is going on in spring training in general? Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's, like I said, football's over, and I'll sit there and watch spring training games. You know, when they're on TV, I'll sit there and watch them. I enjoy watching the games, and again, you see some guys that maybe played for us or played in our league, and you try to keep up with them, and so it's a month from now, the games will be starting, and it'll make March go by quicker. I hadn't really thought about that some of those guys from the Saints we could watch on MLB TV this year during spring training. Hopefully they get a shot to maybe get up there for a few games and be seen. I'm really excited about that idea because I hadn't really thought about the fact that the Dodgers and the Angels, teams like that, seem to get on spring training games a lot too. So that's a good shot at getting to see Vinny and Angelo and Anthony there for sure. So, and I guess in a couple of weeks, Tonko's going to be playing in that WBC qualifier, and I think Phillips was supposed to as well too. He told me he was going to, but that was before he signed with the Angels. So, you know, maybe in the next couple of weeks we'll be able to see, Sonko and Phillips maybe, playing, in these WBC qualifier games. I don't know if they're on TV or, but we'll just follow closely and see. Is Angelo playing for the Philippines? Yes. Okay, good for him. That's great. Yeah, and I believe it starts February 11th, I believe, and so he told me he was going to try to do it, and then he said that he was going to, and then he signed with the Dodgers, and I asked him if he still was going to be able to play, and they said they were going to let him, and then Phillips told me a couple months ago he was going to do it, and since he signed, I asked him if he was still going to play in that, and he wasn't sure if he had to get permission from them, and I just haven't heard one way or another if he will still be able to play in it. Well, it'll be neat, though, to have them play in it. For sure. That's great. Our next question comes from Janice from Burnsville, who'd like to know, when do you do your baseball camps for spring and summer, and do you have specific things you will be focused on at different camps? Yeah, I don't know the dates yet of the summer camps. We usually run 3 during the summer, but it's for the people that haven't been to the camps. The kids really enjoy it. We try to cover as much as we can, from pitching to hitting to base running to fielding, and they really enjoy it, and again, they get to play in in the nicest park out there, and you get to be in the dugout. We show them the clubhouse. It's a real good big thrill for the kids that come to it. Plus, they get to hang out with some St. Paul Saints players too. So that's true. They do. They get to, and they like them, and they have fun with them, and the players like it too. They like working with them, and you try to make a difference, and if you can teach these kids one thing and they enjoy it, then it's a success. That is excellent. Trey from Minneapolis would like to know from you, heading into football, Terrell Owens was named as a finalist for the Hall of Fame. This guy has great numbers, but was such an ass as a teammate. Do you think he should get in? He was something else as a receiver. He was tough. It's tough to like a guy like that, and I know there's a lot of people out there that don't. And when a guy's been on several different teams in his career, I guess there's a reason why. But he was an outstanding receiver, and again, I don't have the numbers or follow the numbers, but from what I hear, he should be in the Hall of Fame, and because that's how good he was.
He was, I think, third all-time in touchdowns, so that's quite a feat for sure.
Yeah, he was something else, but again, it's just some guys maybe cut their careers a little short, with the way they act.
Owen from Cottage Grove would like to know from you, what are some of the things you took away from the from the Vikings this season, and what were some pluses and minuses for you?
You know what? Nobody expected them to win the division, right? And they did. And they're just a good team, a fun team to watch. The coach is good. The quarterback's going to be real good. He's going to be around for a while. The defense was real good. Just a solid team all the way around. And again, it's too bad the way it ended and the way it went down. But hopefully we see them up there in first place for a long time and competing for a Super Bowl.
It looked like they really developed rather quickly this year, so it's got to be kind of exciting for next season.
Absolutely. Hey, if you're a Viking fan, you should be excited. And again, that defense was real good and kept them in some games. And again, I think Bridgewater's only going to get better.
That looks that way for sure. Alan from St. Paul would like to know from you, John Elway has been to the Super Bowl 5 times as a player and now twice as an executive. He has to go down as one of the best football men of all time, wouldn't you say?
Well, yeah, I still remember him as one of the greatest quarterbacks I've seen, over the years. He was, I know a lot of the younger guys around now that maybe haven't seen him play, but that arm strength, and he was just one great quarterback. And obviously he knows what he's doing, running the show over there, but he's definitely one of the top 5 quarterbacks I've seen of all time. Obviously Brady's in there, and Peyton Manning and Favre was exciting, and but Elway, he was fun to watch, and I don't know if we've seen a quarterback with a better arm than him.
Some of the most historic drives that we could probably think of too to win games at the end. This guy's been behind too, so
absolutely. And you know what? He would roll out to his left and fire the ball back across the field to his right, 60, 70 yards. It looked like he wasn't putting any effort to it, and that arm strength was something.
Next we have from Dean from Chaska who'd like to know, George, I hear all these commentators talking about how amazing Cam Newton is because no one has ever seen a quarterback with his size and athleticism before. Hello, Ben Roethlisberger, Dante Culpepper. Doesn't the hype about a player just seem to be getting too much sometimes?
With him though this year though, he's been something else all year long, and he's just been a real good quarterback, and he's the MVP of the league, or he should be the MVP of the league. And I think the book on him was people were concerned maybe he didn't throw very well, but this year he's made the throws, and a lot of them. And again, he's the MVP of the league. He deserves everything he gets this year. He has just been so good, and and he's definitely a top 5 quarterback in the league now, especially with the year he's had. And he really hasn't made too many mistakes. So he's another guy that's just going to be a real good quarterback for a long time. And I'm a Big Ben fan too. I think Big Ben was top 3 quarterback. I've always felt that way. But Cam Newton this year, he's been as good as anybody.
Zach from Rogers would like to know from you, everyone seems to be hung up on concussions. Do you see this as something that will end the NFL?
That's a good question. You know what? I think the players, they know what they're getting into, and a lot of them have had successful careers and love playing, and it's a risk you take, but you hope it doesn't end it someday. But it's I think each player, they know what they're getting into, and nobody's making anybody play, and but you just hope you don't you don't see these concussions. And I've been a football fan all these years, and even when I was growing up, and you haven't even heard about the concussions way back then in the days and the old days. And one of my favorite players growing up was Jack Lambert for the Steelers, and you loved the Steel Curtain. And you didn't really hear about the concussions too much way back then, but you're hearing about them now, and it's just crazy how it works.
It seems that it's become the predominant issue with the league itself. We grew up at the same time in the same area, so you just never heard about this kind of discussion at all. I mean, I remember taking shots and a coach just looking at me, "Can you see me? Yeah, get back out there." So it's the new world.
It definitely changed. Yep.
Our next question comes from Terry from St. Paul, who'd like to know, the Panthers are favored by like 7 points. Do you think that there is any way it can be that close?
Absolutely. Again, I don't think anybody thought Denver was going to beat New England, and they did. So that defense was so good, and maybe it's going to be closer than people think it is. But Carolina, it seems like every game they go out and they've been blowing everybody away. And again, from week one, they've been the best team. So I don't think if it was a blowout, we could be surprised. But Denver's good, and their defense keeps them in games, and hoping we see a good game. I mean, nobody likes those blowouts, so hopefully Denver can keep it closer. And Peyton Manning, maybe it's his last game, so who knows? Maybe he'll go out a winner. It's just nothing surprises me anymore watching these games, so anything can happen.
Our last question of the week is from Phil from Minneapolis, who'd like to know, are you looking forward to the Super Bowl commercials, and do you have a favorite from the past? My favorite one always will be the Mean Joe Green one, when way back in the day with the little kid. That's who doesn't like that commercial? Everybody has to like it. It was just good back in the day, and now though the Clydesdale commercials, those are always seem to be good, and especially now that the Clydesdales they came to our stadium last year and ran around the warning track. It was nice to see them in person. Remember that? Were you there for that game? Yeah, yes, I was.
Yeah, so it was nice to see them. Nice to see them coming in and running right by you. And again, it's just nothing surprises me anymore. And to see them in St. Paul was a great thing. And again, those commercials are always nice.
Well, George, thanks for joining us this week.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll talk to you later.
We want to thank Manager George Tsamis for joining us on Strike Zone this week. If you have your own questions you'd like to ask the St. Paul Saints skipper, please send them to us at AskGeorge@minorleaguesportsupport.com. That's AskGeorge@minorleaguesportsupport.com. Please have your questions to us by Sunday evening so we can give George a little time to review them before we record the show on Monday. I want to thank you for joining us this week. I'm Rob Pannier, the managing editor of the Minor League Sports Report, and we look forward to seeing you next time on Strike Zone.